Hello, my fellow creatives and tanglers. Welcome back to my studio. So excited to tangle with you again today. We're going to do a very interesting tangle today called My Swing. And this one we're going to practice with. So along with your basic supplies, go ahead and just have a piece of practice paper. I'll show you the step outs, but I did want to just have a little bit of detail on how you tangle this one. And I am actually using a phi tile, which is roughly 3x5-ish rectangle tile, because we want to put this one long. You can do it on any size paper you want, but I'm going to take it long and linear. And, you know, that's where I'm going with this one. I think that's it. We're going to have a moment of gratitude, simple supplies. If you're following along all week, you've already heard the intros and everything like that. If you're here new for the week, welcome. Just so you know, I am doing the video at my own pace for the size of the video. I encourage you to pause and go at your own pace. I definitely don't want you to be rushing or feeling stressed just because I'm moving step to step. Okay, let's have a moment of gratitude. Get a nice, good, deep breath. Just notice your breath, your inhale and your exhale. Notice anywhere in your body that might be holding tension. Shoulders, neck, jaw is a common one. Are you clenching your jaw? Keep it nice and loose. Back. I like my feet grounded to the floor. And just get all of those senses connected. Today's affirmation is, I release negative judgment of myself. Take a good deep breath. Have your own moment of gratitude. Take as long as you'd like. Pause and come back when you're ready. Okay, there's our affirmation card pulled today. They are pulled randomly, so this is the one we've got for this morning, or this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're watching. Okay, so let's practice this tangle called My Swing. Here is the step out of it that I wrote down for us. Okay, but I'm going to go through this verbally just so that you can get a practice with it. So it is My Swing by Simone Menzel. And you are going to start with this wave. So this is not a shallow wave. You want a little bit of depth to it, at least when you're learning it. So we've got distance here and we've got distance here. Okay, just when you're learning it. So what you want to do on this tangle, I'm going to tell you one way and then I'll tell you variations afterward. We're going to, if I look at this as a mountain and a valley, we're going to start at the top of the mountain. You're going to go out to the right and you're going to do a slight curve and then land towards the valley. This is not a point and it's not a U-turn. It's just a casual turn, and I find that it makes a difference. Okay? And then what you're going to do is I'm going to turn my tile just a bit. I'm going to do another fan shape coming down a little bit, but I need that horizontal-ish line, that slight curve, and then I land. And notice how when I land, I'm curving a little bit towards that valley. So the key piece of this fan is this flat part and this curve. It's very easy, if you're not paying attention, to have this end up looking like a petal doing this. And we don't want the petal look. You want this flatter fan type shape. I'm going to turn now. I'm imagining roughly the middle. So here I'm looking at this space. I'm imagining roughly the middle, and I'm trying not to go all the way to the other half. I'm trying to stay no further than the middle-ish. It'll make more sense when you see it. I'm going to come down. I'm going to do another petal. Notice that it's getting skinnier, and then I'm going to stop there. So this one I happen to get 4 on. The next mountain, I'm going to do the same thing. So you want that flat part, that slight curve, and then you would continue doing that, okay? So this is top of the mountain going to the right. Now I'm going to go top of the mountain going to the left, and I can get one fan shape in, but the rest I'm going to have to do a lot of drawing behind and just imagine what lines would come down. And you get some sort of a space. Now you can keep going with your fan shapes, but I like to put an orb there and then color in the space. For me, I find it better to do the orb after. If I put the orb in first, for some reason it changes my petals, and I like my petals to be more natural, and then I can put any size orb in there I want. So again, when we started, we went top of the mountain to the right. Now we're going top of the mountain to the left. And we're going to have to do a lot of drawing behind. Okay, so that's 1/2. You take this and you turn it upside down, and you do that same thing. Top of the mountain to the right. And then to the left. And so on and so on, okay? So you get this beautiful border. There is a nuance to this that I want to show you though, okay? So this is the basic step out. I'm going to make 2 waves here. Hopefully I can fit it in. Okay. Option number 1 is that you always do the right and then the left, meaning I'm coming into the top of the mountain and I'm going to the right, going to the right, and I'm not doing these very well because I'm not turning my tile. I'm being a little bit too fast, okay? Normally I do that layer first, and then I turn my tile upside down. And if I follow the same rule, going to the right first, the visual that you get is these pods. So this is always on top, And then you come in and go to the left and they go behind, which is all good and fine. But here's option 2. And if this is too confusing for you, plug your ears. I just want you to be aware of a variation. Option 2 is that you go to the right, just like normal. Top of the mountain. Ooh, that was a really bad curve. Top of the mountain. Okay. You turn it upside down, and then when you turn it upside down, you go to the left first. So you reverse your order. And you don't get the pods like this all on top. You get more of a linear type of thing. Okay, just a variation to be aware of. So if you look at our finished tile right here, we went to the right both sides, and see how that is on top and everything else is drawn behind. That's where you can get the variation. It is subtle, and if it's confusing, don't worry about it. But if you are looking to play a little bit, there's 2 variations on my swing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to put my swing. This is our phi tile. Okay. But like I said, anything linear, if you have it, or if you have Zentangle, anything, doesn't matter. I am going to put my wavy line going a bit diagonal. I'm going to increase the height in the center and then decrease the height going off the page. Okay, however you want to do that wave, go for it. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and just do the My Swing Tangle. Oh, let me switch to my 05. No worries about how many petals you're getting. Just take every single section by itself. I'm going to turn it upside down and now go to the left. And then I'll do the panels that are drawn behind. So for this second layer, there's a lot of drawing behind. Air draw as much as you need to. If you're not sure, make your best guess. There's no police that are going to come by and no mistakes. Okay, so there's our My Swing just flowing right across the page. I love it. Let's see. I think I need to get I missed my little section here. Okay, now I think I've got everything. Okay. So one thing I'm going to do on this is you can do some line weight if you choose. Where all of these fans come together, you can just do a little bit of rounding and line weight right in those corners. This is a bit fiddly, and it's a bit of a detail, and it's a bit of tiny space. So if this is frustrating or you have too big of a nib on your pen, you do not need to do this. Okay, all I'm doing is adding a little bit of line weight to those corners. Essentially, if I have two things that do this with that deep corner, you can put a little triangle curve right there and fill that in. And see how that gives it a little bit of line weight. That's what I'm doing, only I'm doing it in really tiny spaces. Okay, so that's an option. Like I said, if that's too tiny of a detail for you, or your tool, whatever you're tangling with, is just a bit too thick. If you're finding that what you're doing is you're rounding it and then you have a nub and then you keep going and you try to get rid of that nub and then you end up darkening that whole line. Like, see, I have a little extra pen stroke there, and then you end up thickening your whole line. That's not going to help you. You're just trying to keep this rounding right in that corner, and you have to fade off that pen stroke. So it is a bit of touch to try to get that done. Okay, and then I'm going to go into, actually I'm going to get a thicker pen. I'm going to use an 08, I think. So anything that's thicker, this could be the same pen you're doing, but what I want to do is come to this edge and just make that outer edge dark. Get a little bit more contrast. And this will separate the edge lines from all those auras and give you a little bit more dimension very easily, because those outer edges don't blend in with all the auras. And of course, shading is going to help. Okay. So we need something in the corners for this one. Just a reminder, if you're still tangling, and please enjoy it, stop the video. Come on back when you're ready. Do not rush. Enjoy every one of these pen strokes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do just in each of the corners is a tangle called Boucle by Cheryl Moot. And it's just a nice big orb that has a lot of good contrast to it. So I'm going to come into this corner and I'm going to put a very large orb because I'm going to aura inside of it. And boucle goes like this. In the center, I'm going to start at the top. I am going to do a C curve to the left, wrap around not all the way, and then back up and a C curve to the right. And then I'm going to color in the left half. And that's boucle. Super simple. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to do the same thing. Boucle doesn't have to have an aura around it. I just, in this tile, I wanted to have it inside of that aura. So again, start at the top, wrap around, back up, and color in. And just for my purposes, I'm going to put a fescue in to fill up some space. Take off from here. Fescue is just a curved line with a little teardrop at the end. I like to add a little bit of line weight on it. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm just really filling up this space, whatever you like to fill that space with. We have a lot going on with my swing, so I don't want anything too distracting back there. And then just to finish off that border, I'm going to do a skippy double line border. I do this on a lot of my tiles. Just helps me frame whatever I'm doing without taking away from any of the tanglings that I have on any of the tangles that I have on the tile. And I let my pen with pressure be dark and skippy and light, just whatever it wants to do. All right, so let's add some shading to this. And what we're going to do on my swing is that here's the orb. We are going to shade where all those fans come down together on either side of the orb. So right here and right here. Here's my orb. You can shade the individual fans if you want. I chose to do it as a group here all together instead of the individual fans, but you can shade in between. Part of that was a timing decision. Part of that was some people might have too small of a wave, so really go with what your tile is asking for. And what I mean by individual fans, so I have one big section here. You can shade like this. And it's really a cool shading if you have the space for it. And you can get layers. I know that's not showing up very well on there. It's much darker in person, but I think my recording lights are glaring it out a bit. And like I mentioned in some of the other videos, this week is about gentle tangling. We're not going into multiple layers of graphite and lots of details. One layer of shading is fine for what we're doing here. I invite you to explore any other ideas you have in any of these classes this week or any of the free class weeks that I offer. This is your creative playtime and your exploration. So I invite you to be yourself, and if you get a different inspiration, to go for it. And I think the last thing I'm going to do for shading is just the inside of my border. Just because it feels a little plain back there. I'm just going to pull out the graphite just a little bit to take up some of the white space. Just with the graphite on my tortillon, my paper stump. Helps clean off my paper stump too. All right, and then we're going to get our chop on here. There you go. All right, take a nice good deep breath, maybe a little stretch. Have a beautiful moment of gratitude. Hold your tile out and appreciate what you tangled. I hope it inspires you for lots more ideas. And I think that's it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.